Then Sue came along, loved me strong, that's what I thought. Me and Sue, that I do. Don't know that I will, but until I can find me a girl that'll stay and won't play games behind me, and I'll be what I am, a solitary man, solitary man. I've had it to hear being where love's a small word, part-time thing, paper rain. I know it's been done having one girl.
Yep, I'm digging it. So, given the fact that this is a long weekend and it's a sunny day, it's a no-brainer that I would probably be making my way out and about to enjoy the sun, and for the first time in this year, walk around the tank top. That's how warm it is right now. And what I had to do was make a stop at the Jean Talon Market, one of my favorite places, almost to the point that it's a home away from home for me just because of the liveliness. And I want to get myself some calamari today, which is completely awesome. But before I continue on with this, I'll just say right away, welcome to another edition of the Wananiki Cheese Cafe. Now, this place is going to be open year-round, but it's all because they've done some renovations so that they could support the stuff in the wintertime. But when you look around here in the summer, when it's open space, there's a lot more kiosks, this is where all the life happens. I just love this over here. I said before, it's a home away from home. And I had a craving for some calamari, like I said earlier. So what I ended up doing was making a stop over here at Aqua Mare Gourmet. It's a fish store that's open most of the week, but if you're to come here, let's say Saturday or Sunday between 11 or 5 p.m., they do have a little drop-off point where you get some fried stuff to just munch on. So you get calamari, you can get breaded shrimp, fish and chips, or a whole bunch of other combos. And you get it with your choice of sauce also. You can get it with mayonnaise, but what I decided to do was get myself a tartare sauce. I know it's not related to beef tartare or fish tartare like I do a lot. It's essentially like a mayonnaise-based kind of sauce, but what they'll do is they'll add some herbs like tarragon and dill in there, maybe pickles, relish, capers, so you mix it all together, and it's pretty typical with the seafood dishes. You get with calamari, you get fish and chips in the pub, they're going to serve that also. It's I guess not for everyone if you're not a fan of pickles, but if you do love it, then you're going to dig it. So just in case this seems familiar to you, yep, I've been here to this very spot, and it's almost been 3 years ago since I came to this one. It was like a one and done before I did my very first vlog to explore Rosemont, around where my grandmother used to live. So it's kind of funny that I came back to this very same spot. If you want to see that episode again, then I suggest you click the card that's on the top right corner and you can watch that one. It was one of my first legit wander vlogs in Montreal. A long one, but one that I'm proud of. So after I'm going to be done this, obviously I'm not going to be doing a heavy meal, but there's a good chance I'm going to hit up to go grab a pint, maybe two, because this part of Rosemont, there's no shortage of nice bars and especially microbreweries that I could check out. So we'll see what we could do after this. Before we get to that, here's my first suggestion for you. Hit that subscribe button below and put your notification bell on, because when you do that, you're going to get a pop-up on your phone when there's a new video ready to view. And give me a like right away. The more likes I get, the more it's promoted across YouTube, so you're helping me out. Yum, yum. Now that was very tasty, if a little bit heavy, because technically that is like fried calamari with breading, so you gotta be careful sometimes. But once in a while, it's all right to have some of that. And that's gonna keep me filled up for a little while, which means I'm probably not gonna be doing a meal just yet. Gonna just explore around a little bit and see what else I can do around the market. Now, I've done a few visits over here that I document on the channel, mostly when I'm stopping off before I go do some grilling, or it's like a stopover before going somewhere else. But I have hit up a few joints around here. Like, I can tell you right offhand, actually this is a good spot here, El Rey del Taco, or the King of Tacos. This is actually the first place I had tacos where I realized, oh wait, the real taco is supposed to be a soft tortilla as opposed to a hard taco shell, because that's what we used to buy when I was growing up. I only knew hard tacos, and I always thought tortillas were the soft ones, but little did I know. Oh, something else I see up here further ahead is called Paloma, which apparently is supposed to be a raw bar. Like, I could probably get salmon tartare, tuna tartare, and probably other seafood. I think it's more of a wine type of place, almost a little bit like Buvette Beaubien. One of these days I might have to give it a visit. It's a 900 pizzeria. That one is actually pretty good and relatively affordable compared to other pizzerias I've been to. Ooh. Of course, I got to point these out. This is around the time when you be getting all the herbs, plants, flowers, and everything if you want to work on your garden. I know I'm going to have to do that, but today I don't feel like lugging anything on the subway to get back home. Luckily, I have a market that's close to where I live that I can go get my stuff. Besides that, I do remember further down there was a Starbucks that opened, but people were in such an uproar about it, I think eventually they closed down. Understandably so, considering that there's a whole bunch of independent cafes here that the last thing you'd want is to have like a big chain, a coffee shop around. I know they have a Tim Hortons like across the street of Jean Talon, but technically that's in Villeray, not in Rosemont. The old Starbucks eventually became a Mon Ami Korean barbecue, which I've seen popping up all around here. But enough of that. Let's keep exploring and find our way to the next stop.
I left her just to roam the city, thinking it would ease the pain. I'm a crazy man and I'm playing my...
There's Le Café du Marché and the Café Saint-Henri location I've been to a few times when I've come over here. But another spot I guess I could show off is Le Boucherie du Marché. If ever I'm here and I want to do a steak on the grill like an onglet, one that I'm not able to find as easily around my neighborhood, then I would come here for that. Or sometimes I would even get my top sirloin if I want to make some beef tartare at home. Because at first when I was starting to make them, I was using it with filet mignon, which is nice, but apparently I heard that top sirloin or even a French steak is tender and has a good texture enough, and you actually get it for a fraction of the cost. Like, to give you an idea, for regular prices, I'm talking in Canadian dollars, so filet mignon I've seen for about 10 bucks a pound, and then top sirloin is around $4 a pound. So imagine that, like less than half the cost and still just as delicious. That's not even with the $35 you probably pay at a restaurant. Ooh. Casa di Toto, been here before, and one time I did stop here. Oh no, that was actually where was it again? Oh no, Marché Tania, a place that has some great cannolis, and also I've stopped off here for a Fredo, like a coffee flavored ice cream. And the beauty of it is when I went for that, they topped off with some ground coffee beans on to give it a nice flavoring, so it made it a lot more potent. And then of course, the Shamrock Fish Market is right here. That apparently has been around since 1954, 1959, or like since the 50s, and it's still going to this day. So when you look at a lot of rotation of businesses that are around here, like restaurants and such, it's always nice to see things that are still standing decades later. Now, let's see if maybe one day Schwartz is going to be able to stand for a few centuries on their reputation. You never know.
Let me wrap you in my warm and tender love, yeah. Let me wrap you in my warm and tender
Vélo festif, or as they say in English, festive bike. My guess it's probably a... we'll see how well that sound is picked up on the microphone. But my guess is that this is probably for some bachelor party or bachelorette party, because along Saint Laurent Boulevard, I see these things all the time, and that's the only explanation I can have. I lost track of the number of times I sat at Ciboire and then saw them pass around there. But I digress. This is a brand new spot, or I guess I should say a semi-brand new spot, because it's not one of my regular drinking grounds. It's Birra, Bar à Bière Maison, so like the house beer bar. And Birra is the Italian name for beer. It's something I remembered seeing a lot when I was doing a trip to Italy. And this one is on Saint Laurent, like somewhere between Jean Talon Street West, or East and West, it doesn't matter because it's smack in the middle, but Jean Talon and Shamrock. And I remember the first time I saw this one was probably like 2021 on my own and 2022 on camera when I saw that across the street. That was when I did my video in Little Italy at that time. If you want, you can click on the top right corner and you can watch that one and see me do a rare cocktail on the channel, namely an Aperol Spritz. And from what I could see here, they do have a lot of these beers on tap that have Italian names, but another one that they highlight a lot is the Silo Brewery. So Silo is located, I think, on Louvain West, somewhere in the Hunsik, so a little further up. And those are named similar to with Helm, and actually mainly Helm I think of, but there's probably other ones. They named them after the streets that are in the neighborhood, like Gouin, there's L'Esplanade, there's a Saint Laurent one. But the one I got is just for sentimental reasons. It's their corn lager that's called Chabanel. So Chabanel is one that I've seen from time to time on tap or in cans. And the main reason I got this one is Chabanel Street is within a Hunsik in the old garment district of Montreal. And that's actually a place that my Aunt Sonia was working around at the time when the crickets had existed. Because I remember we used to get a lot of crickets clothing as kids growing up for gifts. So it's kind of a way to pay tribute to the family and try something new. Now, cheers to my dad's side of the family and to Aunt Sonia if you're watching this. Okay, very nice. You know, usually I'm going to be at one of these bars. I am going to do a New England IPA, but I wanted to try something different just because of the name, and it's good. The thing about this is that it's a corn lager as opposed to a barley lager or like a barley beer, so it does give it a distinct flavor. Like it's maybe a little bit sweeter, but in a good way. The only other ones I've really seen are like Mexican lagers or pilsners, so it's somewhat similar. It's pretty good and something brand new to show off on my channel today.
You see, I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain.
Oh, hang on, I'm just gonna adjust this. Okay, this beer is actually not too bad. It's a bit sweeter, and again, I always like to start off with a New England IPA, but truth be told, I'm probably gonna want to get that when I find another stop around here, because once again, there's no shortage of places to go grab a pint around this neighborhood, and I'm also surprised at just how many of them are microbreweries that have their own bar, tap room. So if I was to go along Jean Talon and make my way a little west, I'm going to get to Harricana and Le Relais Boreal. If I was to go east on Jean Talon, I do get to Melon eventually. That's also in Villeray. There's always my usual spots that are within Plaza Saint-Hubert and Beaubien Street. So if I wanted to go somewhere else, yeah, I'm getting all excited and choked up literally. If I wanted somewhere else, I always have a few stops I can make. It's crazy. It's kind of funny how much the place has changed in the last couple of years. Never mind decades, like since the days of my grandparents that are living all around here. But you know, things change and time also flies, which is also making me think that I am a week and a half away from my birthday, and it's making me also realize that I'm 1 year closer to 40. So how am I feeling about that? Kind of mixed. People are saying that 30 years old is going to be a big one because of how everyone's going to be changing around you at that time. At that moment, it was like, just felt like a number for me. But I think 40 is the one that's hitting me the most because I kind of look at who my circle is and where we're all going, and everyone's got families now, they got kids, some are actually moving away elsewhere, and we're all kind of going in very different directions. Like, I don't know if it's exclusively me that's talking about that, or if it's other people have probably been through the same thing as me, or they're in the same boat as me. I don't know. And given everything that's happened in the last few years for me, it has made me a little bit reflective and, hope for the best and hope things go well soon. I don't know. It's not something I really talk about as much, but I guess that's a reality for me, and like I said, maybe it's a reality for other people too.
Peeking down through fields of green on the summer side of life. His love was right. There was no illusions on the summer side of life. Only tenderness. And if you saw him now, you'd wonder why he would cry the whole day long. There was young girls everywhere on the summer side of life. They talked all night till the young men that they knew on the summer.
Well, despite the fact I've already been to a number of places around Plaza Saint-Hubert, I thought, try something brand new today. Most of the stuff they've shown up on the channel is a little bit south, like on between Bellechasse and Saint-Zotique. Like you're thinking Le Nestor, Chez Ernest, or the Vestiaire. But I decided to come to pub Le Cale. At least that's what I think it's called. Yeah, it's called that. So from everything I've seen over here, it seemed like it's a zero waste kind of place where, they try to make it a bit more eco-friendly. Food here looks pretty interesting too, but one thing that caught my eye was the beer selection. Once again, it's all craft beers, and had to get one over here because it's one of my classics. So this one is, well, you probably already know it by now, the Boreal IPA du Nord-Est. Classic New England IPA, one of my favorites, and I'm always happy to have it on tap. And that's always a thing of beauty. I am debating if I'm going to have anything to eat over here because since I had that calamari before, it is kind of filling. So I got to see if I can digest that first and then get something else. Worst case, I'll just do the one round here and then make my way elsewhere for a final round and maybe for a little bit of a meal. Yep. See, this is actually one of the best IPs on the planet. It's kind of amazing how much things have changed since the last year, because one thing I was happy to have was a place that had the IPs du Nord-Est on tap that was a little further up. It was the Beaufort Bistro that I had documented a while back. This is when I was on my wander along Plaza Saint-Hubert and just Saint-Hubert Street in general back in October of, it was 2023. If you want to see that episode, then I'll put a card in the top right corner for you to watch that one and revisit it. So it's Le Vestiaire, Beaufort, and also a little further up, Le Raccord, which is a nice vinyl bar. So something else that kind of amazes me is looking at some of the pictures from back in the day, like in the 1950s or 60s. Saint-Hubert Street, mostly residential from what I could see, except for a handful of street corners. But once you get from Bellechasse onwards, that's when it becomes a pretty big shopping area. And from what I could see in the older pictures, like there was a whole bunch of these giant signs, giant neon lights, and yeah. I guess I got lost in thought for a second. It might have been quite the sight back then. I don't see them ever doing anything like that again. But I like it for what it is. Easy place to get to an outdoor mall and a good place to go have a drink, maybe a bite to eat and have a coffee. Something I did find amusing too is that a lot of places you would visit over here is if you're buying a dress, let's say for your first communion, prom, especially wedding, because there's like a whole bunch of wedding gown areas here. And I feel like that some places strategically are placed close to these lingerie shops. I'm actually right across from Il Bolero that I kind of remember on Mix 96 on the radio during their late nights, they would advertise Il Bolero for lingerie and other stuff. I kind of wonder if this is supposed to be intentional. You have a place you could buy a wedding dress for the actual wedding, and then the place where you're going to be buying your lingerie for the honeymoon. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting a little cheesy right now. So I had to think of a few things on my mind. As much as I wanted to stick around here, I took a look at the food, and it's mostly some really high quality poutines and some sandwiches, and I thought those seem like it's probably a fuller meal compared to what I do want to have, particularly because I already had that calamari after all, which meant that having over here the legendary bear juice as a one and done was awesome. Which means I also have one more round in me for another spot. I was debating between two areas. One I haven't visited since I think last winter that I haven't documented on camera, and one I think I last visited around 2022. Okay, like the same run that I did for the other place. So I'm gonna give you a card for the top right corner if you want to revisit that one when I was along Park Avenue and then went to East and a couple of other spots. But we're just gonna keep on moving along Plaza Saint-Hubert. Actually, no. We're not going to call this Plaza Saint-Hubert. For this next stop, we're just going to call this the Mushroom Way. Well, I had an option between two places around here that I wanted to check out again that I hadn't visited in a little while. There was Yeast, that's like on Saint-Zotique, just a little bit east of the plaza. But the other part was thinking that I should have gone to Nacho Libre once again, because I've come here from time to time, sometimes in shorts, documented it in that Park Avenue video for the first time, and it is kind of nice. And considering that I am a video game nerd, I do kind of like this kind of vibe here. There's a giant question block that's right in front of me. Further up, the taps are designed like warp pipes, and the handles of the taps are made out of old refurbished zappers. They got a whole bunch of paraphernalia in the back, like Kevin McAllister, a doll from Home Alone, a hoverboard, a power glove, super scope. Like, if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and you grew up with all this kind of stuff, this is like a treasure trove of nostalgia for you, kind of like for my generation. But the beer here is also amazing. The last few times that I had come here, they did have a lot of like Saint Ambroise beers and, you know, some of the basics from a Trou du Diable. They don't have my New England IPA anymore, so I went for the next best thing, which is the Apocalypse, or Quatre Serpents de l'Apocalypse, Four Surfers of the Apocalypse, I guess, which it's not quite the four horsemen or the four elephants of the apocalypse, but it's serviceable because it's a white IPA, fruity, 6.5%. It's a nice strong one, so that means I can even pay cheers to Julie, because she's a fan of this beer, and she also has a few stories to share with it. Assuming we haven't gotten through those stories yet, because I've done so many videos over these almost 4 years that it's kind of hard to keep track of sometimes. But all I have to do is go back to them, and I'll be able to remember it. Because I mentioned before, realizing that doing these videos has made it seem like it's become like a video diary for me of what's been going on in my life the last few years. Good stuff. Something else I forgot to bring up earlier in my introduction is that I've seen a lot of stuff on the TVs over here, like you can get maybe some music videos from the 80s. I remember seeing some Bugs Bunny cartoons, maybe some clips of old Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. What else was there? Like internet meme stuff, like things you probably would have seen on E-Bomb's World if you're growing up in the 2000s. And oh yeah, I think it was some RoboCop video game, like clips of the gameplay at the time. Like, there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff here that if you're nostalgic like me, it will embrace it. But one other point that I remembered when I first did my Park Avenue video was that was one of the first instances of me doing my videos inside and seeing that people will actually follow me as I'm doing my recordings. The only other place that happened prior to that was at La Brasserie. And I remember there was me just doing a recording, like, oh yes, it was Good Friday in 2022. Sitting down, I'm just doing my thing, recording, and one of the staff came up and asked if I'm doing a YouTube video. And it was the exact same thing that happened over here, because Emil, who works here, you know, I've crossed paths with him from time to time, and he's been a pretty good supporter for me. And I remember that he asked if I had a YouTube channel, subscribe, and then whenever I come back, he seems to like the fact that I cover Rosemont a lot. Because everyone knows that has been following me is that Rosemont, it's a big part of my childhood and from growing up, and I always like to come back there from time to time. It just goes to show, like, I do what I do, and then I'm creating my followers that way. As much follow as I can do when I'm doing these mini videos of, not mini videos, mini movies of me wandering the streets, telling stories and grabbing a beer. Because I don't do this to try to become a TikTok influencer or try to make millions of subscribers and get free stuff. I do it because it's fun for me. I'm already wandering. I like to share my hobbies. And for my friends that are in different points of their lives where they're not traveling as much or coming into the city, it's like they're visiting it with me at the same time and discovering what I discover. That's always going to be my takeaway for that. So hopefully everyone's been enjoying it, and hopefully they're enjoying the rest that come down the road. Yep, I had to be schmaltzy a little bit. I'm only human after all, last I checked. We are the robots. Why does Kraftwerk keep coming up on the random parts of my episodes? Okay, don't mind me at all. So I was in the process of filming my tacos that just came up, and there was a couple that just showed up, like a young couple. They were starting to pose, but I realized that they were posing, but my camera was facing downwards towards what I was eating. And I had to explain to them, like, sorry, I was filming my tacos, but they wanted to do a second take so that at least they can be captured on camera. So lo and behold, the first time that someone wanted to be video bombed on my vlogs. Anyways, I decided to get myself the chorizo tacos. So if you come to this kind of a place, you're gonna get mostly nachos, variations of tacos, and maybe some quesadillas, so it's very simple stuff. And the one time I did come here, I did get the pulled pork tacos, which are pretty awesome. I didn't capture that part on camera, but figured I could do that right now. So typically, you get like 3 small tortillas with a bit of chorizo, probably cilantro, because that's a pretty big thing in we're getting Mexican, Spanish cooking, and I guess there's some kind of mayonnaise in there with other stuff. I don't know exactly, I'd have to read the menu, but all I know is that it's small and just perfect for what I need. Delicious. This is just what I would need to have right now. It's perfect for a sunny day. It's warm outside, and it's going to take a little while before it sets. I'm happy. I'm starting to run out of beer too, so we'll see where we go afterwards. Well, those are some pretty good tacos. The chorizo was just perfect. The only downside was that when I was eating some of the salsa that was served to me, I didn't realize there was some jalapeno in there, so that meant that my mouth is a little bit burning, like more so than I expected today. And as much as I wanted to get something else to eat to kind of ease it up, I thought another beer would be sufficient to be able to do that. And I'm finishing up with something I don't remember them having over here the last time I visited. It's simple, and it's just a Labatt 50. Yeah, after all those other beers that I had, the Chabanel Artsy beer, Legendary Bear, Four Surface of the Apocalypse, I thought a classic 50 would be perfect. But I guess it's kind of poetic in a way because it kind of encapsulates 3 generations of my family. So I'm in Rosemont, which is where my grandmother was living when she first came to Canada. And then I got my dad, where his beer of choice was Labatt 50, and it's his style. And then for my generation, I am at a bar that has Nacho Libre, and it's based on a Nintendo logo. It's a whole bunch of 80s paraphernalia. So in a way, it kind of captures all of us. Next generation, well, I guess that's going to be a wait and see kind of ordeal. But until then, it's going to be a good one. Oh, hang on. Cheers, everybody. If you're waiting to see if there's anything special, nope. It's just a regular Labatt 50. Nothing more, nothing less. And it's just perfect to be able to wrap things up while it's still sunny, and I'll be able to head home in pretty good shape. Probably going to get a coffee for myself on the way home. Luckily, if I was to go this direction, there is Il de Gade, which also has a Chez Popo. Chez Popo is the ice cream store that also has a coffee shop, which means I can get an allongé for myself before I head on home and be able to have a little bit of a booster. Perfect way to finish things off on this long weekend and having tomorrow off where I don't have to work. Such a thing of beauty. And on that note, thanks for watching this latest edition of the Wannernicki Cheese Cafe. So if you like what you see, you know what to do right now. Hit that subscribe button below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoy my antics, stories, my choice of beer, the new food that I explore, and etc. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, leave in the comments. I'll see what I could do. But until then, take care. See you next time. I'm thinking I'm not going to wish you a happy whatever, because assuming this episode drops later on, I don't know what holiday it's going to be. It is what it is, man. It's the life of a vlogger who's recording ahead of time.
Picking up the pieces of my sweet shattered dream, I wonder how the old folks are tonight. Her name was Anne, and I'll be damned if I recall her face. She left me not knowing what to do. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Carefree highway, you've seen better days, the morning after blues, from my head down to my shoes. Carefree highway, let me slip away on you. Turning back the pages to the times I love best, I wonder if she'll ever do the same. Now the thing that I call living is just being satisfied with knowing I got no one left to blame. Carefree highway, I got to see you, my old